Hey guys, this is Elise. Long time no see. I'm going to try and make some video guides for Wing 8 based on a lot of the experience that I've had progging it in the very beginning and some of the things that we've noticed, as well as some like recommended puck strats that seem to have worked really well for us. This is by no means a comprehensive VOD, but I would really appreciate any like feedback and hopefully this helps. So we're going to start here with Greer, which is the first boss of Wing 8. You can do either Greer or Decima first. I recommend Greer. It's a little bit of a like a palate cleanser for the start of the fight. Um, you'll see here that we're all running in. We're going to try and give swiftness. You can do Scourge Portal. You can do Mesmer Portal. There are two ads on either side of Greer that you have to defeat simultaneously. There's a strat where you can do subgroup splits, one to one ad and one to the other. Zerging it seems to be a really safe approach. You'll see these orbs flying out to the right-hand side here. See my uh, cursor a little bit. Those will do a knockdown. They will also apply conditions, and then they will do damage. The best thing to do with that attack is to actually reflect that damage back onto the boss. We've been using feedback on Mesmer, but there's a bunch of other choices for your class, which you enjoy playing. What you see up here right now, these are greens. The icon above the green indicates how many people need to be in the green to resolve that green. So in that case, in order to resolve the green, it only took 2, but it's not too bad to just, be safe, add more. This fight ends up being very trivialized with the presence of a herald bubble. So the herald bubble will actually absorb all of that damage flying around. Um, and you can all stack under it safely and DPS, just like you see our herald doing there. Now, this attack, um, it creates these little pits, and these brambles only have a couple of ways out. You can get stuck in them, and they do imply conditions when you're in there. The best thing to do with all of these bosses is to be behind them because they do not seem to rotate, or if they do, they don't rotate very quickly. We haven't quite figured out what causes his movement and where he moves or why he moves where. If you have ideas on that, please throw them in the comments. So here's Greer. You can see he's kind of a thick, absorbing sponge of damage. We're all doing our best here. CPC, also a great skill to try and mitigate that damage. Fast break bars, really nice. You can see after the bar is broken that he gets an exposed debuff. So exposed debuff, you think about favoring power fights. So stacking a lot of power-based classes here would be really nice. These big orbs that you see flying out are the number one things that you want to reflect. See how that orb is just standing there on that downed player? That's the orb you want to put feedback on. That will reflect immense damage back onto Greer and help you defeat him much faster and much easier. Again, green mechanic resolve, very easy. You're going to want to jump that shockwave. You can dodge that shockwave. You can Aegis that shockwave. There are a whole lot of different ways to try and resolve that mechanic. You can see too how we're placing all of our feedbacks on some of those orbs, but then the herald bubble comes up to try and protect us. We can all kind of sit underneath it. This is now a mid phase where we're going to have 2 ads, the same ads from the beginning, back up again, that we're going to have to resolve and kill. So we've chosen to do the closest one first. We're going to go ahead and stack in our green. Again, safest option is to be behind. That knockback, you can see it knocked the entire squad back unless you had a stab. So bringing stability, also really a nice choice for your healer options here. Again, this feedback was good, really, really strong. You could see our gamer who did not stand in the herald bubble kind of got eated by some of those mechanics. It's okay. As you can see, even with this group of a lot of new players to the wing, just by doing a few simple things, you're able to clear it relatively easily and safely. This ad, if you attack him, will wander himself over to the group. So there is an option for you to be able to stack those ads and cleave through to the boss. It's a great option. Try not to get separated here like we have. You can use Scourge portals, you can use Mesmer portals, you can dodge roll through, but you don't ever want to get stuck solo. That attack with the kind of radiation symbol sign is pretty well telegraphed. Just make sure you always stay on your pin. Your pin should have a good idea of where to position you. All right, now Greer is attackable again. And here's that radiation sign symbol again with those orbs. Those orbs are going to follow your players, meaning that as soon as they stop, that reflect, perfect. That reflect on that orb is going to protect all of the gamers, even as the orb is moving. And he knocked down like 5% of Greer's health bar just by that having that one reflect up. Now we're rotating out of these attacks, and the goal is to try and get behind Greer and into melee range so that the melee people can actually do damage. In order to kind of phase him well, getting behind him is nice. Same thing with this guy. We're going to kill this ad, and we're going to phase behind. Again, with the reflects and the greens, you need to make sure you separate the greens with two people in the greens. Don't stand in the greens overlapped. You will down, and it will be a bad time for you. Would love any commentary on the boss movement and targeting. If you guys have ideas in that, please throw those in the comments. Again, this fight pretty straightforward with bubble, with reflect, with good solid heals. It's pretty solid. I would highly recommend portals, just like you saw our commander do there. We definitely want to have good portal movement to get to bosses faster. And stability for those knockbacks, swiftness. I think those are going to be the most important things here. Again, this is mainly based on poke strats is kind of the stuff that I'm talking about here. This fight, again, it's more of a sponge as long as you stay together and as long as you have projectile reflect or absorption, then you should be able to clear this boss with minimal troubles, except for just getting the first ideas of positioning. You can see we're standing here, baiting some of those attacks, and then we're waiting for our reflects and waiting for a safe place to stand. So again, Herald Bubbles, when those come down, is a great spot. When those big orbs come down, those big orbs are the places to put up your feedbacks. Just like that feedback is on that big purple orb right now, it's exactly what you want. That'll get his health bar down pretty fast. Here we are and just enjoying a burn phase. Very little else to do. All right. And rinse and repeat. 2 ads. Gotta burn them down. A lot of double vowel kind of names. All right, see that orb has now stopped kind of on the player base. We're gotta resolve a green, but that reflect did big damage to this ad. Very high DPS comps with some type of reflect should be able to clear this boss with relatively fast times, and even a lower DPS comp if you want to play it safe, if you want to run more than one healer, if that's the way your group prefers to roll, this boss is entirely doable because it's more about timing your reflex and your projectile hate rather than actually doing damage to the boss with an enrage timer. This split arrow attack is, you can see those pulsing brambles. Those all apply conditions to you. They also knock back, and they create these very annoying circles where there's gaps in the brambles that you can go through, but the rest of them bonk you, and by touching the edges of the wall, you also get conditions. All right. Now back to the boss for the final phase. Here is a triple green mechanic, and this is why I do recommend, especially for initial progs, zerging the 2 ads as an entire group. Having a single subgroup get 3 greens would mean that you fail because you don't have enough people. 5 people can't resolve 3 greens with 2 people in each green. I do recommend zerging for your initial progs, And then once you guys are really comfy with the fight, definitely try out different strats. Check and see how the greens distribute. See if you can safely resolve the greens or maybe even stack the bosses. You can see that Greer here has these stacks, right? These stacks are usually gained by failing some sort of mechanic. Apologies, I'm doing this kind of live. I'm not a great video editor. You can see the stacks for him just reset there, and they do reset between phases. Um, a lot of those stacks will give him enrage. For the most part, we think that those stacks are gained by these ads being too close to him and being close to him for too long, or we think that they are stacked by getting hit by some of these mechanics, primarily those big orb mechanics that we've been trying to reflect. Still, even with 16 stacks, sure, stuff is hurting, but you can see that it's really not going to prevent you from doing this fight. It's all about good movement, trying to get behind him, trying to make sure that uh, you get good DPS uptime and protect your team with some kind of projectile hate. And that's it for Greer. Really look forward to any feedback that you have in the comments, and hopefully that helped you guys kind of see what a decent group does on this boss with a very average raid comp.